I was like about to let myself be consumed by the feeling, which was like annoyed. It was almost verging on like rage and hatred. And I was like, okay, I'm going to let myself feel that. And then I was just like, wait a minute. This isn't true. Welcome to It's Happening For You, the podcast with Robin Meharry and Stephanie Lentini that's all about mastering the creation process and living a life of extraordinary possibilities. In this episode, we talk about thoughts that feel better and thoughts that feel worse, and how not all thoughts are created equally, and much, much more. Thank you so much for being here with us. We really love recording, and we so appreciate all of you who are listening to these episodes. And we're back. Quick turnaround.
I was going to say, we recorded on Thursday and today's Saturday, 2 days later.
Yeah. It was so like good.
A new record for us.
So we're back because we have things we want to talk about.
We could talk forever, honestly, but yes.
Sometimes we don't share it with you, but
yes.
We have been talking a lot more, and I'm excited to talk about these ideas that were like bubbling up from the conversation on Thursday.
Yes.
And so on. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There was, so Steph and I already touched base. TB'd this morning. And then we talked for like 30 minutes, and already it was like, we should just record because everything we're talking about is awesome, and I want to share and dive more into it.
Yes.
But if I remember this correctly, the main thing we were talking about, like something pretty specific from one of the questions from this last series. And it was, now it's kind of fading away.
Oh yeah. It was for me too, but I brought it back up. Yeah. So one of the things that like, I really, am getting in terms of like application is, the idea that like a thought that feels worse doesn't have as much value as a thought that feels better.
Yes.
And to give them all thoughts aren't created equally, essentially, right? Like that sort of idea. And to give equal weight to all your thoughts is not really necessary and sort of not helpful. The thoughts that feel worse aren't true, aren't helpful, and really aren't valid. And the thoughts that feel better are, the direction in which like it's really helpful to focus in.
It's your intuition that is stepping in there to guide you through the thoughts that feel better.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So this morning I was like, I was really like feeling that because I was thinking about like a specific person and not thinking very nice thoughts, or they didn't feel good. And it was kind of like trending down, like feeling worse. And I was kind of putzing around the house, just like doing stuff. But then I decided, okay, I'm just going to sit down and I'm going to like let this monster out of the basement. I'm going to let myself feel all the feelings, because it was just it was annoying and it was getting bigger. Right. And so as soon as I sat down in the chair, I was like about to let myself be consumed by the feeling, which was like annoyed. It was almost verging on like rage and hatred. And I was like, okay, I'm going to let myself feel that. And then I was just like, wait a minute. Like, wait a minute here.
Wait a darn second.
Yeah. Like, and wait a minute. This isn't true. And I know it's not true because it does not feel good at all. It just feels like shit. So I know that's not true about this person or whatever. And in that moment I was able to like pretty easily just like pivot off of that thought, those thoughts, the thoughts that were sort of gaining momentum because I was giving my attention to them and thinking they were true. And then I was just like, what feels better than from here? Instead of, I didn't really feel like at the moment I needed to have a monster anymore. I was just like, what feels better?
Mhm.
And I was like, they're helping me. Yes, everyone ever is helping me. And the thought that what I was thinking about them wasn't true gave me tremendous relief. Like immediately I
Yes.
was just like, "Oh, that's such a relief to know like it's not true.
Yes. Yeah.
It's just a perception but it's not true.
Yes.
It's not true."
So, and another layer to put on this, and this is from actually one of the answers from the Communion of Light from this series, the most recent series that they answered yesterday. And they were talking about somebody that was talking about when I think specifically they were talking about when their clients bring up feelings of guilt, shame, regret, that kind of stuff. And they were saying that, in 10 seconds, like you can give it, attention for 10 seconds, where then it's like that 10 seconds gives you the contrast to
Mhm.
know that, oh, I want to focus elsewhere.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
that's kind of sounds like exactly the process you went through when you slow down. You're like, okay, I'm going to let this like take me over. And it was like really quickly, probably less than 10 seconds for you, that then you're like, wait,
I
and
can
focus.
yeah,
Yeah.
I
And
can
then
focus elsewhere.
so therefore it was in service for you. It was happening for you. That those thoughts were happening for you to then
Y-
be directed to
More of
a
what I'm
better.
wanting.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, totally. Totally. Um Yeah, I feel like we kind of just jumped right in from like a continuation of our conversation earlier.
We
That's
did.
okay. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Um yeah, this is kind of big though. It's
It
kind of
is.
big because it's like okay, that's what intuition is the feel better. The
Mm-hmm.
in terms of thought, speech or action is like following what feels better in any
Mm-hmm.
given moment. Um but it was just like really profound for me to have that experience where I sat down and I was just like, I felt it in action, sort of thing. Like I just
Mm-hmm.
immediately felt it in action. And, I want to point out like one little elephant in the room, which feels like it's obvious that I've known this for a while, especially being like a student of Abraham. They're always talking about your focus and focusing on what feels better and doing anything it takes to feel good or better.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I don't know, just something about like, yeah, from theory to application where it was like, oh, it, in that moment, I don't have to like follow down this trail thinking that it will lead to feel better through the feel worse. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
Because I think that's why we tend to give equal weight to all thoughts, especially thoughts where it feels like there's a problem that needs to be fixed. And we think if we just follow down that trail, then we'll get to something better
Yes.
eventually. But it actually isn't the case.
Yeah, we're going to get to the solution. We're going to fix
Right.
it.
Yes. And
We're going to
and
fix it.
and then feel
Yeah.
better later.
Yes. Oh, it's so tricky. That is like that is such ingrained like well, I'm not even going to say that because I don't believe that. But it is something that has been a pattern that I've
Yeah, yeah.
done it in the
We're
past
good at
and
it. We're
we're
really
really
good at it.
good. Really, really good at it. And
Yeah.
in this very moment, I can choose another way to do it.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Just
So,
practicing a new sort of way of
yep.
looking at thoughts.
Yes. And it doesn't, why I caught myself there, and it's
Yes.
more so for listeners, is because I'm A, not making myself wrong for anything that I've
Mhm.
done up to this point, but B, also the past doesn't exist. So it doesn't matter how long I've done A, B, or C. That doesn't even matter. It's in this present moment. With this awareness, I can choose and practice something that feels better to do.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's that simple. I don't have to create a backstory to it that's like, oh, I've done this forever. This is going to be really hard to change this habit or this pattern. No, it doesn't need to be that.
No.
Just here in this moment, present moment. There is no past, there's no future.
I like saying sometimes, like, it's really clear. My intuition is really clear to me, or like, let's amplify like what feels better. Like just simple things like that,
Yes.
and bringing that,
And
especially when I don't feel like I know what feels better or like
yes,
how to feel better. Then I'm like, okay, I want to amplify the feel better, whatever it is. Let's
yes.
amplify it.
That's so funny. You know what I've been playing with the last couple days is because like, and I think I mentioned this kind of on the phone earlier. Sometimes like, or what I've experienced, the feel better, and we were talking about this, it sometimes doesn't jump from like feeling in despair to feeling joy.
Yeah.
It's not like this great jump, but it's always, for me, it's a sense of like a little sense of relief, which I equate to a sense of peace. And so, what I've been playing with the last couple of days is asking my helpers to amplify peace.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, just
Mm-hmm.
amplify peace, because that feel, and
Mm.
then instantly,
Yeah.
I just am like, pooh, and I'm like, oh, that
Yes.
feels so good.
Yes. So did you listen to the Helper series?
Not all of it yet, but enough to kind of understand a little bit,
To be able to use the idea.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly. Yeah.
Yes. I really love that. I love just being like thinking of my helpers as like experts at these vibrations, these
Yes.
particular vibrational states, and that like I can just at any given point in time be like, hey there, let's amplify this.
Hey, yeah. Come on in, expert.
Yeah, you're I actually really like how Paul, as a, I've been hearing them say this a lot lately, is like anytime you're like conjuring a version of yourself, or you're calling on a guide or a god or a helper or anything, like make them a lot smarter than you.
Yes,
Like
I
make them a
love
version
that.
that's like a lot smarter, or smarter than you. It does they don't actually say a lot smarter than you. They just say they're smarter than you. And I
Yes.
love that because it's like, yeah, they know this. They always say that when like you conjure a version number 2 your guide, and they're like, and they know this process, how it helps me, and they've been through it, they know how it helps me, blah blah blah, like that sort
Yeah.
of thing. Like they have more information than you do.
Yes. Yeah, you're
I
in good
love that.
hands.
You're right. Yes, I love that.
Me too.
I went to the
Yeah.
gym yesterday. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna,
Mhm.
this is sort of
Yeah.
like illustration of the whole like, I just followed my intuition. Like when I got exposed to the Paul work back in like May or whatever, I just stopped going to the gym. We moved to Colorado, and then I just kind of stopped going to the gym, and I have reasons in my mind for that. But they're funny because they're very much based on like feel worse, which is just so funny because I was like, I don't like the gym here, and I don't like the location, and la 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 la. Um and I said that out loud to Thomas the other day. I was like, I'm looking forward to getting back to Vegas where the gyms are nice, and I want to go to the gym again. So anyway, I was already just sort of like feeling into wanting to go back to the gym because it felt better to go, because it feels good to go, and not because it'll help me feel better later about myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why I like stopped, not really because I was doing it to feel better later, but because one of the ideas that like Paul always presents is, well, not always, but whatever Paul has presented, is that you can have the body you want without any action.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so I've been like playing with that, like just playing with the vibrational having of my ideal body, and not going to the gym. And then yesterday I was like, ooh, I want to go to the gym. There were a few times this summer I was like, ooh, I want to go to the gym, and I would hop in the car, and then I would like start driving there, and I would just veer off, and I wouldn't make myself go. But this time I was like, oh, I think I'm actually going. I think that's where I'm gonna end up. It just felt
Wow.
good to head out to do that. And I was just picturing like lifting dumbbells and doing bicep curls. Like that's what I wanted to do. And I was like, do I have dumbbells here? And I was like, no. Okay, so I'm gonna go there to do it. And it just felt
Funny.
like good all along the way.
Yep.
And I actually went to a different location, equidistant. It's almost in the exact same place, but just like you turn right instead of left, both Planet Fitnesses, and it's like a totally different vibe than the one that I've been saying like I don't like the gym.
Oh,
And it's
oh,
the closest
funny.
one. It's like one is sort of in a part of town that is like a lot of homeless and drug users. And then I assume whatever they are all on the streets in like raggedy clothes. And I just don't enjoy like driving through there and parking and going into that gym. But the other one is like bougie. It's next to a Sprouts and they're literally equidistant.
How funny.
It's so funny. And I've been like, this is the only gym that like
Yep.
literally. And anyway, so I went to the new one and I was just like, what feels what feels good? Like what do I want to do? And I just did like a few sets of like I did my bicep curls and then I was like, well, what feels good to do next? Or what feels like the next thing? And then I was like, I'm gonna do like some shoulder raises. And then I was like, I'm gonna lay on the bench and I'm gonna do like chest press. And I did a very short workout, probably in many people's minds. Um, and when I decided to like switch my weights, I took back those dumbbells and I went to get a barbell, like the one where the weights are, it's like a long bar and the weights are on both sides. And this guy was standing by the rack and he was like, um, I we were kind of communicating. We were both wearing headphones, and I was like, I took my headphone out, and I was like, "Are you about to grab a weight?" And he was like, "No, I was moving out of your way." And I was like, "Okay, cool." And he was like, "But I did want to say to you, I saw you over there, and I was like, oh, he's gonna critique my form, which I half want and I half don't want." But he was like, "And I noticed that you're having a good time." He was like, you just look like you're having so much fun. And I love to see like someone in the gym here enjoying themselves and not just like trying like grinding through their workout.
How awesome.
And I was like, oh, I hired you to tell me that, like to like say
Yes.
that to me because I have been
Wow.
loving like the reflection back,
Yes.
like I
Oh,
just
yeah.
love that. It's so fun. Um,
Yes.
and that's exactly what my experience was. Like I wasn't like faking that, like I was enjoying it. And then as soon as I was like, I feel like leaving, I did like a few things with that other barbell and then I was like, my leg hurt. I felt like I pulled a muscle. It did not take long. I was like, oh shit, like my hamstrings. And then I just left. I was like, I tried to tan, but the tanning beds were out of order. I
Oh,
almost
that's
texted you.
right.
I know I
Oh,
was
that's
going to be like,
right.
they're under construction. And then I just went home. But it was awesome and it was so
Oh,
cool.
that's
Like
so amazing.
it even felt better to like go and move into that next segment of the workout instead of be done after the dumbbells. But it was just, I think, because I wanted to talk to that guy because I didn't do anything with that barbell and then I just returned it. Um,
Oh, that's
but
so
that
funny.
is just so cool. I love it.
Amazing.
Like I want more of that. I love that. Like
Yes. I
not
love
for
it.
the because I don't see him as like something outside of myself. I'm like, oh, I
Yep.
hired you to do that. So I'm excited like for more of that sort of just
Yes.
experience of people telling me that they like me and the things I'm doing.
Yes.
I feel a little
Okay.
sheepish saying that out loud, but I'm like, no, I do like
No, it's
that.
great. Well, it's like the whole premise, right? Of like when you what you're like then focusing on and it then you're in alignment with it, right? And then it's rising up to meet you.
Yes.
That it's the universe, it's our way of the universe rising up, universe of our thoughts rising up to then reflect back to us. Or no,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I
No,
don't think I'm saying that right.
the way that I'm seeing it now is that
Proving it
I
to us, you know, it's like,
yeah, and I'm writing these rules.
yes,
I'm deciding that like I want more people to come and tell me that
yes.
they like the
Cut.
things I'm doing. I
Yes, because
like that.
there might be somebody that's like, I don't want people talking to me at all. And I love when people don't talk to me. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's like
Yes.
you, yes, you're creating that. It's
Yes.
perfect.
Like Gina has people basically, I don't know how often, but sending her messages all the time saying like you changed my life. And when she gives
Oh,
me examples of that, I'm like, I want that. Like that's
yes.
awesome. Like I fucking want
Yeah.
that too. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
um that's
It
sort
feels
of
good.
that's
Hmm.
sort of like something that I'm like, and I can have it too. Like, I
Yes.
don't, nothing needs to change except for I just decide, oh, I want that, and it's done. I can have it. And people,
Yeah.
I'm hiring them to come around and,
Yes.
you know, say those things to me. And it's so cool. So when people do say stuff like that to me, I say thank you, but I'm also like, thank you because I did that. Now it's even more evidence
Yes.
that I'm creating it's so
Yes.
cool.
That's it. Yeah, that was the word I was like reaching for, was evidence. Then it's like
Yes.
then the evidence then appears, right?
Yes.
To back
Yes.
that up. But
Thoughts
that
prove themselves.
thoughts prove themselves. And that reminds me, I didn't remember it until you just told this example. And but I'm just going to share it. So when we were on our call on Thursday recording,
Yes.
and we do video recording, right? And I got a glimpse of me when I wasn't looking at you for a second. I looked at myself and I was like, oh, I had this thought that was like, oh my gosh, I look like I have a double chin. And then I
Uh huh.
instantly was like, do I want to believe that? And I was like, instantly was like, no, I want people to see this video and tell me that I look great and radiant. And then, like, immediately I just felt myself like smiling and whatever. And I haven't watched it back or seen if I can like actually see when that happened, but I felt it. I was like, yeah, that feels really good. Like, and I felt
Yes.
great, right? Like the other, the other thought, opinion, belief just filtered away and it was great. I go upstairs after we're done recording and Charlie's like, "You look so pretty today." And I was like, "Thank you." And I was like, "Yep, that's exact.
Yeah.
I just created her to reflect that back to me because I just, you
Yes.
know, it's like it's so awesome."
It really is cool. Like yeah, I feel like I'm just noticing those things more and more and like
Mm-hmm.
acknowledging it or
Yes.
I was gonna say like giving myself credit, but like I don't know that I need to be given credit because I'm doing it whether I'm acknowledging it or not. But like
It's
just
fun.
it's just seeing though, like, oh my gosh. Like I just like changed my mind about that. And I just
Yes.
was like very decisive about this new choice. Right.
Yes.
And now
Yep.
that thought is it quickly proving
Quick.
itself
Mm-hmm.
in this way or that way or that. It's so cool. Like I'm just really
Yeah.
enjoying that. And I like that sort of it's a gradual shift from feeling like there's anything to observe, like that I can
Mm-hmm.
observe that there's this person out there and it's out of my control what it is I'm experiencing with it, like, and
Mm-hmm.
making that shift to more and more recognition that like I'm creating everything. I'm making the rules for everything. Some things I'm not fully aware that it, like I wrote that rule. I decided for that, but
Mm-hmm.
like I did and I continue to. And so it's like if you're having something you're not liking, you can change it. That kind of goes back right to where we started with the whole like,
Yep.
you know,
Exactly.
where you're if it's feeling worse, it's just not it's not doing anything for you. It's not valuable. It's not true. And it's not necessarily like fucking up your manifesting. I really love
Nope.
that Paul says that because it takes all the pressure off.
Yes.
But as you do to make that turn or veer or shift and focus in the direction of what what's feels better,
Mhm.
you know, then like it this is the the things you're wanting, you know, and the more kind of deliberate about it is like the things you're wanting just start showing up faster and it's like, Holy shit.
Yes.
Like I literally fucking did that. I was
Yes.
just like dreaming about that and now it's here.
Literally, like immediate. Like it's so quick and it's so fun because I feel like when we then like I love acknowledging this and focusing on that because the more I do that, what I find, the more I do that, the more than I see, I realize even, it's like
Yes.
the more examples show up to like, and I'm like, oh,
Absolutely.
look at that, look at that, look at that. That's awesome. That's awesome. It's like, that feels so good. Why not?
Well,
Why not focus on it?
yeah, because we're intentionally manifesting and deliberate
Mhm.
creators, and that's where we're going to focus our attention, and we're deciding it too. Like I did
Yes.
hear um Paul say this phrase the other day to somebody, and I really liked it, really resonated with it, and it's something that I didn't like put in my pocket, right? But I just remember it occasionally, and I'm like, oh, I like that, which is I'm having more and more of what I'm wanting.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. I love it
And
too. Same.
I'm telling the universe of my thoughts, like I'm just having more and more and more of what I'm wanting. And
Yep.
like boom, done, cut and dry. Like, and that thought is proving itself and proving itself and proving itself.
Yes.
It's lovely. Love that
Yeah.
for me and us.
Me too. Me too. And it's like that's just for that's for everything. Like everything, any area
Absolutely
of our
everything.
life.
Yeah.
It's not just like these little maybe examples that we're giving right now, but it's like for everything. It's
Hmm.
just I
Yeah.
don't know. There, something I was going to say earlier that just came back through is like back to the whole like now this idea of or this concept of like no, not all thoughts are created equal.
Yes.
And I think in the past, when or before I heard this, is kind of what my thought process was. Well, there's no like bad thought, right? Like
Hmm. Hmm.
I was then, really welcoming all thoughts and not putting them in different categories of like, that's bad and this is good and
Hmm.
trying to, welcome and let things flow through as they came. And the thing that I love about this even more, because I think I was kind of seeing them as like equal, you know?
Yes.
And so
Yes.
this concept coming in is just expanding on that even more now for me, where I'm like,
Yes.
yes, there's no like bad or good or whatever.
Yes.
And they're not created equal. I don't need to give my focus. Doesn't
Yes.
mean that I need to give more focus to those not good feeling thoughts.
Yes, yes,
You know what
yes,
I
yes.
mean?
Yeah, I think that's kind of like paradoxical in a way. It's like
Yeah,
almost
exactly.
contradictory, but it's really funny. Like when you when you're like, okay, they're all thoughts and I'm creating them or whatever. Like they're my creations too, and not pushing against any. But then when you give attention, prolonged attention to a thought, think of it as like going down that path, and you just keep walking down and you like take the next step down the path and the next step down the path and you're like kind of following the thought, like following the
Yes.
thread. And then you're like, oh fuck, like I just got myself down a path that like is actually kind of nasty, and it's like, oh, I
And
want to turn around and
dark.
get out of here.
Yeah.
And it's like it's nothing wrong with it, but also not requiring your attention.
Exactly.
And
Yes.
that the difference of like what direction you give your attention on based on whether it's feeling better or worse from
Yes.
where the thought is arising from the place where
Yes.
you're at when the thought arises, like, and then you can be like, oh, that feels worse, what would feel better, or
Yes.
whatever. Yeah, totally.
And that also feels like that goes hand in hand with what Paul and the Communion of Light says about like if you are letting the thought, feeling, whatever consume you, letting the monsters out of the basement, you set an alarm for 5 minutes. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not this like never ending cycle
Yes,
where you're this like a whole day of like it's like
totally.
5 minutes of focused
That's what I did
attention.
this morning. Yes.
Yes. And like you very quickly, within, it sounds like seconds, were like, oh, I'm going to change my focus to
Yes.
somewhere else. Right. But like, then they always say 5 minutes max. And they're like, you might not even get to a minute. You might not even
Yes.
get, you know what I mean? So that's important to know, is that it's not like, when you let the thoughts consume you, that you're
Yeah.
going to be in it forever. It's like when you really give your attention directly to that,
Yes.
it moves. It
Yeah.
moves, it evolves.
Yeah. I think that there have been times where I was like trying to do that and it wasn't like really successful. And that really was an opportunity for me in the moment to just like focus on something else. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But like,
Yes.
whatever, I gave myself the slow drip for a while, in very,
Yep.
whatever, you know, um,
Totally.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's perfect too, right? And like,
Yeah.
that in that moment then.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
okay, this isn't completely moving. Okay. So stop it, get
Yes.
up, go do something else.
Yes. Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Hmm.
There was something else that I was like pondering today, 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 and
Today.
more so, I just been giving more attention to my desire for more cash, even
Hmm.
more cash. And we had the conversation on Thursday where I was saying like I'm a millionaire already. I'm a millionaire
Oh
already.
yeah.
I'm a
Yep.
millionaire already. And last night before I was going to bed, I was like, I'm gonna play in my imagination as if like I'm a millionaire already. Like, what does that feel like? And I noticed that I didn't really know what it felt like. And like I really was like, I don't know. I don't know. I just don't like out, I can. And I was saying to myself this morning, or I heard myself say it to someone, like, I can't imagine it, but I can imagine it. It was
Hmm.
the feeling that like I wasn't necessarily able to like connect with. And I don't feel any judgment around myself. I was just like immediately like, oh, that's fucking interesting. Like
Hmm.
I love it. I have to put the fucking on it. It's
Yeah.
interesting and just like I'm having exactly what I'm in alignment with right now. And that's cool. Like I'm kind of just curious about like like letting that rise up to meet me. And
Hmm.
when I got out of the shower, I was just sort of like zoning out, looking out the window, and I was like, okay, well, this isn't even anything to observe. Like I'm creating this, so I'm just gonna decide from here forward, like um that like the feeling of it is rising up to meet me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Period. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes. Yeah.
not like, oh, I hope someday, or like 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 this hopefulness that like maybe if I keep playing with the process, it will. Like, no, it's just like caught myself in that moment. I was like, oh yeah, no, I'm deciding like here and now, like this feeling is available to me.
Yes.
I don't have to go seeking it. It's just gonna rise up to meet me.
Yep.
And I'm
Yep.
gonna keep playing there and just
Mm.
like feeling around for it whenever I want to. And it's just like kind of cool, you know?
Yeah.
I don't
I
know.
love it. It's funny. So this Seth brought this up in our short conversation earlier today
Yeah.
before we recorded. And so after we got off the phone, she went on our coaching call. I went into my imagination and played with that.
Cool. What did you discover for yourself?
So it was funny because the thing that you said, you're like, I was playing around with like a random Wednesday. Like, what would my
Yes.
random Wednesday feel like? And I was like, oh, that's fun. So I played around with a Wednesday and then a weekend.
Nice.
And I was like,
Sick.
and for me, yeah, and like for me, this imagination also included my beloved, my partner, and children. And
Uh-huh.
so it was like, on a Wednesday, woke up, had the nanny came over to get the kids at 9 and went to a spin class at 9:30. Then I, was out, and I think I had some, a smoothie out, and then I came home and I jumped on a Zoom call with you and some other people and just had this like amazing like talk and meeting or whatever. I don't even know. There wasn't clarity on what it was, but it was just fun. And so I did
Yes.
it. And, the kids were being entertained and, whatnot. And then the nanny left, and my partner, their dad, came home, watched them for a little bit because I had another meeting later in the afternoon with people back in the States because I was in England. So then
Nice.
he watched them, and then that all ended around 6. So then I was like done, and then I was able to go cook and be with the family and put the kids to bed and then watch Edo. It was just like so fun. Just so fun. And there was a lot more detail to that, but that was like a Wednesday. And then on the weekend, it was like spending time with the family and, going down and getting bagels and croissants in the morning on a Saturday morning for the family and walking back and, then doing a pool day. And inviting friends over to like come over and hang out at the
Mm,
pool and having music and the kids playing and laughing and and it was just so fun.
mm.
And it was like, yeah, I woke up and I was like, oh, yeah, I really want fresh bagels and orange juice and stuff, fun for the kids. You wake up to this. So I went down and got it. It's not like a thought of like, do we have the money to do, it was just like anything I want, we can do. Have the
Yes.
friends over. We're gonna get, order food and
Yes.
barbecue and hang out.
I love
I loved
that.
it. Anyways, so that was me playing. I liked the idea, like what you brought through was like a weekday.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, cool. Yeah, let's play with like a weekday. Like where my husband was out at work, and like
Yes.
we kind of had, this, you know, a different structure to the day. And then what
Mm.
does a weekend feel like?
It's really cool because, like, as you just talk about that, like, I feel it.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
And it feels normal,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. It reminds me of like that time that I described, like my imagining of waking up in like a village in Italy or
Yes.
something. Remember? And I was
Yes.
like, I
You're
get
there. Yeah.
coffee, I
Yeah.
make a coffee, and then I go into town to have another coffee and talk to someone. And like I have an
Yep.
orange juice and a cigarette. And it's not
Yep.
until like one that I have like a baguette or something. I
Yeah.
don't know. Go swimming. What's cool though, what's cool not though, but what's cool is to enjoy like enjoy having what you're wanting now and noticing that like those desires just like naturally evolve. And
Yeah.
I think we talked about this on Thursday uh because like sometimes when we like put our desires out and we say like I don't have it yet and this is what it is, it kind of like gets this like frozen time
Yep.
thing.
Yeah.
And like but we're constantly evolving brand new, dead and alive all at the same time, like here and gone
Yep.
and back again. And I like that, like even when I imagine if I like, okay, so just imagining that like Italian village scene of the coffee, like it doesn't feel as like it's evolved already. It's evolved
Yes.
into what
Yes.
feels better already, is what I'm
Yep.
saying. Like,
Yes.
and so I'm not like, I'm really not attached to like that specific thing, like
Nope.
coming into that physical form because it's evolved so much since that, whenever that was.
Yeah, because we're constantly receiving data information, right?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
then
New it.
is, yeah, that's then adding to our expansion, our desires, and they're just expanding and expanding. So it's like, even what I just shared right now, I already am having new pieces come in,
Yes. Yes. That's
right?
exactly what I was thinking is like, you're having that family now, like they're already here and they're like the kids are getting older, like you're
Yep.
like there's like that movement through time and space sort of thing, like actually going on, and the desires are evolving as well within it. Like that's just so cool. Like,
Yes.
it's so cool.
I know.
It's like sort of back to the conversation we were having the other day about like this or something better. You know what I
Yes.
mean? It's kind of like
Yes.
that where you like no don't have to like get like zeroed in or narrowed in on like it's this. It's just
Yes.
this because I saw it once in my mind and so that's what I want, you know? It's like
Exactly. Yep.
just
Yep.
always fresh and new. So like letting yourself like just have it now in your imagination, if that's all you really have access to, is wonderful because then it will just keep evolving.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And it just feels so good, you know? Like it's so fun.
I know. I just love like that I'm not afraid of imagining things anymore.
I know, same. And like not then going instantly into a point. And when I do this, actually, because it does still happen, but sometimes there's a point where I'm imagining, and then it will like kind of community of light describes it as like you like
Peak
go higher,
crests.
higher, crest, and then
Yes.
it starts falling, and at that point you release it, and
You let
you
it go.
know that the universe is now taking it to deliver it to you, right? You let it go.
Yes.
Well, my kind of like crest and then fall
Yeah.
is when I start going, and now how am I going to get it?
Oh, yeah.
I start having a thought of, okay, so to get there, how, and I'm like, well, let go. Like that is the moment I'm starting to fall. And I just instantly feel that. And I'm like, okay, I
Yes.
don't have to figure out the how. This is amazing. Like the universe has got it. I could just
Yes.
be bask in what I just imagined
Yes.
and leave it, you know?
Yes. 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 Mm. Hmm.
Okay, I have to share this because I pulled a card while you were talking earlier.
Yay. I saw you doing fiddling down there. I thought you were writing something on a piece of paper.
I was like, don't, yeah, I didn't want to distract you because you were like in the middle of something, but I was like, I felt called to, and I was like, I was going to. And it was when it was in the beginning of this conversation where you were talking about you having the opinion or the thought or
Yes.
whatever earlier. And then you're like, and then I realized, I didn't need to focus on it. And
Yes.
you changed your, and this is the card that was picked. I don't even think we need to read the description. I think this says it all. Not for you. So, for me, I pulled that. I was like, oh my gosh, that's so funny. It's just basically saying, oh, well, that thought is just not for you.
It's not for you. Yeah.
It's just like that bug coming into the house. This
Yes.
isn't for you. This isn't where you're meant to be. Like, go right
Not for
outside.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not for you.
Not for
You know, I've
you.
been like, um, kind of questioning this and maybe there's like a decision here to be made, but like there like when things bug me, I kind of like
Pun
I want to
intended.
what oh that's probably why they use the bug, right?
Yeah, yeah.
When things bug me, I kind of want to know why or something, you know? Like
Yeah.
I want to know why it's bugging me and
Oh,
that
of course.
I guess that's part of the like going down the path and like just following that thought further and um yeah, like it's fun to be like I don't need to do that and this thing is here for me. It's usually with a person, you know? It's like something that they're
Yes.
doing or saying
Yes.
and it's like that's here for me. They're here for me, showing me more of what I'm wanting. And I don't need to know what it is that I'm wanting. I think there's that's the part of the reason why I want to know what it is or why I don't like it. Cause then I
Hmm.
want to know what it is I do like and what
Yes.
it is I do want. And I want to like be, you know, get that, make that turn over to, okay, I don't want that. So I want that. And I can just be like more general about it and be like,
Yes.
yeah, like I don't need to know like what any of this is about. I just know that this feels worse and it's helping me. Period.
It's helping you, and like what you did earlier was you simply said, well, that's just not true.
Yes. You
So
like,
it's
well,
general.
making it like some ultimate flaw in a person's character that I'm
Yes,
not liking,
yes,
right? And
yes,
that part feels better to be like, that's not true.
yes,
And also like, this is helping me. And I don't
yes,
know how, and I don't
yes.
need to know how. I really don't need to know how. I can just
No,
know that it is because everything is.
yes,
And know that it's
yes,
happening for me because everything is.
yes, yes. Well, it's the whole like, it goes right back to, what the show is called. It's happening for you, not why is this happening to me? Right?
I still can't believe that like that's the title of it. And I can, but it's
Yes,
perfect. It's just so deliciously
I
perfect that that's
know.
the name that like
It's
you
so
chose
tasty.
last summer, and it's just so good.
It's so good. It was just like, I know that's the name, and I knew nothing else.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything else. And it just has evolved perfectly. Excuse me.
My biceps are sore.
Oh, I bet. I
That's what
was
I
gonna
wanted.
ask. Yeah, I was gonna
That's what I
ask, are you
want. Like
sore?
those
Nice. Look at that.
like
Look,
those
she's
shadows.
and for those people that are not watching the video,
Run
Steph
to
is
YouTube right now. I'm flexing my muscles.
Steph is flexing her biceps. Her, they're
For the
popping out.
camera.
They're like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Does that resonate?
Actually, side note, I've been telling everyone this, so I'll tell y'all too. I watched the Arnold Schwarzenegger documentary on Netflix this last week, and it was so good. It's like
I
part
can't wait to
three
watch it.
series about his three sort of separate careers, and he's so deliberate in his creations. He's like, he wants it. He has the idea. He wants it. He sees it and he knows it's done. Like, it was very cool to hear
Well,
someone talk about this. It's just so cool. So highly recommend. It sort of peaked, crested, and fell by the time they got to the third part of the series for me.
yep.
Um, but it was just like really cool that he was a bodybuilder and then a movie star. And um yeah, it's just cool to hear somebody like walk you through it without like, he wasn't using this language, but like I was like, dude,
Yeah. He's
that's
a
so
yeah,
cool.
yeah. That's
Sometimes
so
we just
fun. I can't wait.
complicate things like in all of our like
Yes.
investigation, and I just love how he's just like, I want it. I am gonna have it. It's done. And like that's it. Like no like question about
Yeah.
it. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
that's what knowing is.
Yes. Yes. I
That's what
love
knowing
that.
is. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I'm really excited to watch it. Um, yeah.
Hmm.
And also, when you just said that's what knowing is, I also really loved how the community of light was saying versioning and knowing are the same thing.
Mm.
Did you catch that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I thought that was interesting because that's not how I was viewing it previous.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, well, that makes sense because you go into a version that already has it. So they
Yes.
know.
Yes.
So it's like, oh, okay. That's
Mm.
cool. I love that. It's like knowing that that version already has it and it exists and it's running
I
parallel.
I literally just thought I want an animal to come and like be right here on the fence with me, and a bird just hopped on it.
Ah, there you go.
That was cool.
There you
Not
go.
and like a big bird, like a substantial bird, not a hawk, but
Mm.
I don't know what kind of bird that is. I heard the chickadee out back earlier. I think it's a chickadee because it makes the noise like cheeseburger,
No idea what you're talking about.
cheeseburger. People will know what I'm
I
talking about.
do know what you're talking about. Now that you said it the second time. Yes, yes, yes. Cheese. Cheeseburger. Now I'm gonna, whenever I hear that, I will not be able to think anything but cheeseburger. I'll be like, I want a cheeseburger.
I heard the sound and I was like, oh, that's a familiar sound. I wonder what kind of bird that is. And then I was like, are they saying cheeseburger? Yes, they are. Like, I didn't hear it at first. And then I was like, that's the cheeseburger bird.
That's awesome. I love it.
I think it's a
That's so
chickadee, but
funny.
I'm not a ornithologist or anything. I don't even know if that's the right word.
I was like, I don't even know what word that is.
That's probably a good time to stop recording.
Thanks for listening. You can visit us at www.itshappeningforyou.com for more information about upcoming episodes and previous episodes, and just learn more about us. Here we go.
And a 3, and a 2, and a 1, and a welcome to right?
It's happening.
Let's start from the beginning.
It's Happening For You podcast with Robin Meharry
and Stephanie Lentini, the podcast about mastering the creation process and living a life of extraordinary possibilities.
Join us as we just talk every week and chat and share.
Have way too much fun. We love you.
We love you.
Thank you for being here with us.
And the beat drops.
And the beat drops.